Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today I titled this message, Trail of Broken Hearts. Trail of Broken Hearts. Now, if you haven't guessed by now, this particular message is definitely about relationships. The kind of relationships that are intimate, the kind of relationships where one is feeling quite down at times because things are just not working out. There are those individuals who are very discerning and they can see through all of the smoke screens, the blinders, and whatever else that people like to put up around them. They know that someone has been abused, whether sexually, physically, or mentally. They are told in the spiritual realm to pray. They are also used to give all sorts of literature, videos, audios, and what have you. Your secret or secrets are safe with the individuals who God has moved upon them to give you a bit of insight as to the things that are affecting you emotionally, physically, and spiritually. On this channel, the audios are designed in such a way to break the bondage of whatever it is that you're going through in and around you. And part of the healing process is there are tears, there are fears, there is anger. But once you arrive and you understand why it is that you do what you do, why you say what you say, and most of all, why you have a trail of broken hearts, you can move on with your life in a way that God has called you to. Some people are stagnant. Some people are not able to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, you name it, because of the simple fact is that they have yet to connect the dots. They have yet to put together the pieces of the puzzle as to why they are not very caring at times with folks, why they lack intimacy with a partner, why they can't seem to open up without being easily frustrated, irritated, impatient, you name it. All of these issues that we face are tied to all sorts of things that we have experienced over the course of our years. And a lot of the stuff is kept secret by our conscious as well as unconscious mind. We don't want people to know certain things. And so what happens is that we cover up. We do some things that are irrational. We say some things that don't make any sense. Sometimes our programming is so, dare we say it, screwed up to the point that when we are talking to other people, they can clearly see and clearly hear that there's something not quite right. Now, some people are very good actors and actresses, and for years they have been able to cover up the fact that they never just matured in a functional sort of way in different areas. I'm not saying in all areas, I'm saying in different areas, because in some areas that have not been touched, we grow and we're doing well and we're able to just flourish. But then in other areas, we're not so good. We've got some things that's a little messy. And some people over the course of our years have called us out on this sort of thing. And so, hence the title, There's a Trail of Broken Hearts. Broken-hearted individuals around us who don't quite understand what is happening. Why is she treating me this way? Why is he acting this way? But what they don't know is that there's a lot of stuff that we are all sorting through. The reason why sometimes we just can't pick up a phone, why we can't go over to someone's house, why we can't accept an invite, why we can't seem to open up and talk to a partner or best friend or even a child about some things. Every now and again, there are those triggers, those things that keep us in a state of mind where we say, remember, that's a secret. Shut your mouth. Don't open up and say not one thing because you don't trust this person. You know that one. She'll take your information and run with it. So just put a muzzle on it. And so when you suffocate things long enough, you tend to act in strange ways sometimes. Sometimes you tend to be a bit emotionally and or physically abusive with some folks. And sometimes people are so far gone in their dysfunction that they don't even see that they're being abused or someone around them is being abused. Oftentimes, individuals who have gone through much, they don't want you talking to them about any type of trouble whatsoever. So let's just pretend like we're all children and we all got some issues. Okay, some things that took place, some very, very disturbing, ugly things. And we go and we want to talk to some adults about these things. Now, if the adults are dysfunctional, you know what they're going to do. They're going to tell you to go play. They're going to tell you, I don't want to hear that. They're going to tell you that I'm busy. They're going to tell you who told you that. They're going to say, why are you lying? Why are you coming up with stories? Why are you exaggerating? And so when we don't feel heard, when we don't feel understood, we internalize some things, right? We grow up not trusting adults. There's a child within us that says, remember the last time that you opened up and told a very disturbing or dark thing, you know they didn't believe you. And so you just learn how to keep a lot to yourself. And besides, you look at what others have gone through as a result of opening their mouths. And so you say, I don't want to be beat down by these folks verbally and or physically. So I'm just going to shut my mouth. But when it is hurting you, whatever that it is, when it is hurting you so much to the point where you cannot at times function in a reasonable relationship, right? There's a problem. And we can stop with all this blaming that other person when we know that we've been guilty of some things over the years. We can stop with all of that and just look at ourselves. Sometimes that person who is abused, just like you are, they don't mind pointing a finger at all of your stuff and labeling you. But meanwhile, they got a whole lot of mess going on with them. They can see everybody else's drama, but yet they can't see their mommy and their daddy as well as their personal issues. They can't see the fact that they broke up with this one and that one. They can't see where they're dysfunctional when it comes to intimacy. They can't see anything going on with them, but yet they can see everything that's going on with everyone else. So as we are healing, right? As we are healing and we're growing and we're showing some people some things, they don't want to hear it. And this is why you need to be in prayer before you open up your mouth and share what you know. Okay? Well, I know somebody who went through an abusive experience just like me. Let me go over there and start talking. Shh, be quiet. Did God tell you? Because some people are not in that mindset where they are willing to get the necessary help. Some people are not in that mindset to want to read material, listen to material, or what have you. And so they will typically turn on you like a snake. And so rather than have a foe, you have or have a friend, you have a foe. Okay. Some of you all, you need to know your enemy, the Christian's critic, because when you started walking this spiritual walk, you also raised up all sorts of demonic activity. A lot of demonic activity takes place with some individuals who don't want you walking with Jesus Christ. And so if you feel like you're battling all alone when it comes to spiritual warfare and so forth, you might want to read the book so that you can get some understanding as to what all is taking place. I went through some things and continue to go through some things on a spiritual level. Now, this trail of broken hearts, where individuals are sleeping around, where individuals are not sleeping around, but every time you turn around, they got a new one, a new clown, right? You talk to them and you say, how's everything? Oh, this guy, he's a knucklehead too. Well, it gets to a point where you got to look at yourself. I don't want to talk about that. There you go again. Well, I'm just saying, right? You try to give somebody some advice, but how does the dysfunctional show up in the trail of broken hearts? Well, it shows up in the promiscuity. You're having sex with this one and that one, and then this person doesn't suffice, and then you find fault with this one, and then you got to figure out a way to get out of this relationship because this woman or this man is just no longer good for you. The dysfunction shows up in all the secrecy. You're secretive about even the smallest things. Things that you don't even need to be secretive about, but you are. Okay? Once again, all of this is tied to something that took place way back when, or some things, and one just does not want to see the reality, doesn't want to deal with all of the issues, and so he or she continues to bury the pain, and as one buries the pain, there's the irrational behaviors that rise up. Lies. Lying for no apparent reason. Something happened years ago, and it just caused somebody to say, you know what, rather than speak the truth, I'm just going to tell lies. I don't really care about people all like that anyway to tell them the truth, because I know they're not going to care much about me. So here comes the lies. Lies about any and everything. And for some people, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel good that they don't tell the truth. It makes them feel like they got some kind of power, some kind of upper hand on others. Okay? When the only thing they're doing is they're ruining their reputation, because once a person starts to know more and more about another human being and they don't agree with some things and they're tired of getting hurt by that person, they eventually move on. And then the person finds someone else to lie to, someone else to keep secrets from, someone else to be promiscuous with, and basically the pattern repeats itself. Deception. Deception shows up. Manipulation, some shady types of behaviors, okay? All because someone is burying some pain. They don't want to address the issues. They don't want to sit down with a therapist. They don't want to sit down and write about the things that bother them. They don't want to be in any type of group counseling. They don't want to read about whatever their condition is. They live this life just existing. One of the things that I keep coming across, especially during the times when I've dated in the past, is these people that don't want to face the reality when it comes to their family. They don't want to face the reality when it comes to their family. And I've been one of those that have held a microscope up, a telescope, a magnifying glass up on some truth in some of these relationships. And of course, when you do that, eventually the person who is running from all things emotionally, concerning their past or some things that you've noticed, will break up with you. I don't like you. Of course, a lot of them have this attitude where they don't want to be the one to break up with you, but they'll do enough things so that you'll be the one to break up with them. And then they feel relieved because they are no longer under the magnifying glass, the telescope, or whatever else, okay, that the light shows about their personality. Okay, they don't want that. So a person who is running away from the truth, a person who knows what kind of personality you are, a person who can no longer use and abuse you, is going to figure out a way not to like, not to love, not to want to keep you around. They've got to look for somebody else to deceive. I've got to take you to some information about family, because once again, if I am deceived when it comes to my family, and I've got some patriarchs and matriarchs around me that are brainwashing me into thinking that we are functional and everybody else is dysfunctional, okay, I am not going to get any healing that way either from whatever it is that's bothering me. Mother says, no, that's not what happened. Mother says, no, that's not what you saw. Mother says, no, that's not how you're supposed to feel about that. And so you walk around and you tend to have whatever it is that mother tells you that you should have. Okay. A father says, this is how we do things. This is how I am. This is the way it's going to be. And anything else outside of that, and there's going to be some consequences. So one who is fearful of a father, one who is worried, one who wants something from a father is going to toe the line. Okay. The individuals that I have come across over the years have a skewed look at their family. It is manipulated in some kind of way. They believe things to be perfect and right and good and fully functional, when in fact, when you listen to their stories of their upbringing, you find that it is so far away from functional, it's not even funny. Okay. Now, one needs to spend some time, if he or she is dealing with this trail of broken hearts where, you just keep breaking up with folks, or folks are breaking up with you, or you can't seem to keep any quality friends and all of that. One has to look at all aspects of his or her life. Okay. Not just childhood, but other things that have taken place that have caused you to be treating people in some messed up kind of ways. Okay. There are different types of families, and according to various reports and experts, research studies, and so forth, there is the disengaged members who lack loyalty, dependence, or sense of intimacy. These are your family members. Okay. There are those family members who are separated. They are more engaged, but still independent of each other. There are those who are connected, and this is a family who is close, loyal, and healthily bonded. And then, of course, there is the family who is enmeshed, and this is the family unit that is very dependent on each other, with members lacking autonomy and freedom. Okay. Now, if you are that one that has a false image of your family, a fantasy, maybe you're a bit disillusioned with your family, you're going to say, well, I would say that my family is separated, they're more engaged, but still independent of each other. Okay. But when you look at some signs, some things dealing with your family, you will find that the secrecy and the lies and the deceptions and the cover-ups and the don't talk about mama, don't talk about daddy, and all of that other brainwashing type of stuff that goes on in these families, you'll find out that there is some disengaged family members who lack loyalty, okay, dependence, or sense of intimacy. And then you'll find, upon closer inspection, that there are some family members who are just too dependent on each other. And then you'll find that someone has made it that way, whether it's the patriarch, the matriarch, the guardian, or whoever. And so therefore it's hard. It's hard to grow. It's hard to get away from the dysfunction. And if anything, you find yourself repeating some of the stuff that was put upon you. I'm talking to somebody. I don't know who I'm talking to, but you know something isn't quite right. You've tried to reason that some things are okay and all right, but even God has spoken to you and told you that it's time to reprogram, to change your mindset on some things, to change the way you're dealing with your children, because a lot of the dysfunction that's going on with your children, they're not to blame. You are the one who has brought some stuff into the mix from your dysfunctional upbringing. You see, And I know that that is hard for some people to digest because you want to believe that you're doing everything right until you see some foolishness show up with your children. Then you say, I done messed up. And then you start thinking about all the things that you did back in the day. And then you start trying to come up with some ways, at least if you really care about your child, right? You come up with some ways to fix some things. Even if it means simply, I apologize. But some people aren't going to do that. Oh no, pride is going to get in the way. Demonic activity is going to get in the way. Selfishness is going to get in the way. Personality disorders are going to get in the way. A dysfunctional partner and all of their trauma and drama is going to get in the way. So now there is nothing going on in some of these relationships. That's why they are separated. Because somebody woke up and said, I am not going to be up under this type of craziness where family members are making excuses for some dysfunctional stuff. I'm not going to continue to co-sign on people abusing other people. I'm not going to continue to keep some secrets that I know are tearing some people apart. And if only they knew the truth, maybe they would be able to heal. But you all want to keep on suppressing the truth. I could go through a long list of some of the family secrets. But if you want a long list and something to pray about and something to even investigate a bit, get my book, Genealogy X. Because for some people, their healing is in doing the family research. That's where the healing is. When you see a pattern of dysfunction going on, you can no longer be that scapegoat, you see. Because sometimes you got some of these relatives that will put people in positions of being a scapegoat. You are the problem. If it wasn't for you, we would have been able to get this, that, and the other. If it wasn't for mama sleeping around, maybe, we would have been a family that was, and then you fill in the blank. You see what I mean? And so when you got these sorts of things going on in some of these families, and you got someone who has a role that is dysfunctional, it isn't any wonder why they go off into these intimate partnerships and do the things that they do, whether it's same sex, whether it's opposite sex, whether it's both sexes. But for some people, that's the way they medicate themselves, is through all sorts of sexual promiscuity. Other people, it's not even about sex. Matter of fact, they are just so turned off by sex. And I've talked to people that have had all sorts of things take place with them. And one thing that they did not want was to be married. And they did not want to have children. And they did not want to perform any type of sexual acts. Okay? Period. I just want to be left alone. And for some folks, they went through so much poking and prodding and messing with. We can't even talk about the details, that this is why they are alone and they are quite content that way. And when you, not knowing what is going on with them, say silly things to them, at least in their mind, they look at it as silly or stupid or strange, or you're getting on my nerves about family and about marriage and about children and stuff. They don't want to have too much to do with you because they don't want to reveal the true reason as to why they do not want to be married, why they don't want to have children, or whatever other reasons that are going on inside their minds. I don't want to have children because I feel like they are. I don't want to be married because. And then they may tie a lot of stuff that happened in the past. And then what do the people who want to save the day say? Oh, that is just stuff that you went through in the past, and you got to let the past be put in the past and move on with your life. Well, easier said than done for some people, right? Easier said than done. Then you got some people who they got married, but they really didn't want to get married. and they had children and really didn't want to have children. And I wrote When Mothers Cry, and I'm very transparent in that book. Okay. The other thing that goes on is that when we do see the link between the family issues and the intimate partnerships, then there's a choice. There's a choice to either go head on and get the necessary healing, right? Spiritual healing, physical healing, mental healing, you name it, or just exist. Exist in the dysfunction, continue to bury the pain. Some people will target folks, whether on the internet or off the internet, and I say target, they will target folks to be counselors, to act as parents. So when one is in a, let's say, dating arrangement, rather than the individual looking at you as a simple partner, right? Someone they can hang out with, someone who will eventually grow on them and you can go head on and have a relationship and all this other stuff, right? No, they're looking for a surrogate father, a surrogate mother. They're looking for someone to counsel them. And then when you take on that role and become that codependent, okay, and you enable the person in their dysfunction and you say, okay, I'm going to be there for you, babe. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to pay the bills. I'm going to, make sure that this errand is run and that one, even though they can do a lot of this stuff on their own. I'm going to make sure that you got your, bubble bath and your this, that, and the other, and I'm going to cook for you and all that. And you do all these things, whether they ask or not. Now they are dependent on you. And then when you decide that you no longer want to do for them, if these people came from abuse, especially violent households, they may end up beating on you because they can't stand the fact that you're distancing yourself away from me. And I wanted you to do all these things and now you're not doing them. Okay. And then if they, for whatever reason, cannot get their act together mentally, okay, that they can no longer go out and do things like get a job or what have you, they can become jealous. And then when they become jealous and they also have this abusive side to them, now jealousy is the motivator behind them wanting to be physically abusive. Or for some people, emotionally abusive, simply hurling names. And I remember an individual who did this sort of thing, just stupid, dumb, crazy, you name it, throwing all these names out because he saw where I was going as far as my education and so forth. And he didn't like it because he knew sooner or later I was going to outgrow him. And so a person who is jealous, a person who's fearful, a person who's dependent on you or what have you, and they see that you're distancing yourself from them, they're going to figure out ways to suppress you. They're going to figure out ways to control you. And they may even put children. If you have children with that person, they may even put children up to keeping mom close. You see. Thank God at that time that number one, I was very young. And number two, I didn't have children and I wasn't married. So I had no excuse to stay with a person like that. And some of you all, you don't have any excuse to stay with anybody who you're not married to, don't have kids or anything else. Okay, you are free to go. And some others, you are still free to go, even if you do have all those things with someone, because we are not put on this planet to be emotionally and or physically abused by anyone. We have the spirit, right? Our bodies is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and we have the Spirit of God within us. Do you really think that we went through the whole process of being saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled for God to say, okay, it's all right for this man to abuse you. It's okay for this woman to hurt you. This trail of broken hearts is evidence that someone is hurt in some way. Let me say that again. This trail of broken hearts is evidence that someone has been hurt in some way. Okay? So when that man says that, oh yeah, I've been dating ever since whenever, and none of those relationships have worked, or the woman says, I've been married and then I've been married again and again, or when you got some people talking about how they can't seem to get along with their family and it's this going on and that going on. Okay. Or you got some who say we are very close. Our family is very close, right? Red flag. That is not something to be all, excited about and, clapping hands and woo, and somehow some folks want to interject themselves into these kind of families, No, a lot of times those really dependent families, they got someone that's controlling everything, and then you come along and marry into that family, and now that person wants to control you too. Okay? And they don't like folks that they can't control, those patriarchs and matriarchs and some of those other ones that are controlling. They don't like that. And they will encourage their son or daughter to leave that relationship if they cannot control that partner. Okay? Because a family is all about the mama or about the daddy or about whoever. I've been in these sorts of situations, so I can speak. And not only that, I've had some friends who have been in situations like this, where it's running after mama, running after daddy, because that husband or that boyfriend or whoever wants you to. And then after a while, the family feels like they are so close to the point where they can ask about all your personal business, show up at the house whenever they want to show up, okay? Dictate where you go, who you see, what you do, and if you are in communication with them, even though you have moved far away and you're talking to them on a regular basis, they will systematically come up with some ways to bring you back home again. It's a fact. And I've seen it happen over and over again. And some people just don't connect the dots. And for some folks, there ends up being a trail of broken hearts because somebody keeps following after mama, keeps following after daddy or whoever else. And those who are the partners looking on the those who are on the outside looking in do not want to be controlled. And so they say, you can have your mama, you can have your daddy, your sister, your brother, whoever else, because I'm out of here. I thought it was me and you, but I see it's all about your family and what your family wants. Okay? Trail of broken hearts, lots of dysfunction, lots of craziness that goes on. I've given you different examples, okay? But the key in this message is to take a look at what is going on. If you are that one that every time you turn around, you're breaking up with someone or someone's breaking up with you, take a look at the connection between the stuff that has gone on over the course of your life and why it is that you can't seem to open up, why it is that you can't seem to have a quality connection with these different partners. Take a look at some of the things that you've experienced and find the necessary peace of mind. That means you're going to have to do some research. Find some other people who have gone through what you've gone through. Some of you all may not even know what the labels are. I would pray. I would ask the Lord, guide me, lead me to the information that I need so that I can find my healing. Because I need healing right now, Jesus. I want a healthy relationship. Okay? One thing you cannot do is save someone who you know has gone through much. Okay? And don't expect others to save you. If you want to be saved from some issues, you need to be consulting with Jesus, because sometimes we just got too much stuff that is going on in and around us that a man or woman just cannot help us. We need Jesus. And then when you got Jesus, then the rest can follow. Jesus can move on different people to come and, help you out. Jesus can move on you to find the necessary resources and so forth. But this trail of broken hearts for some of you all, it has to come to an end. Because if you want to draw near to the Lord, you got to understand that you cannot keep playing Satan's games. And Satan's games look like a player, right, who's out there doing his thing, looks like a pimp who's out there doing his thing. Satan's games look like narcissism. Satan's games look like all sorts of different personality disorders. Because for the simple fact is that he wants you to just accept a label and that's it. But no, there's more. There's more to it. You don't just look at a label and say, okay, this is what I'm going through. This is what I am. But you ask the Lord, Lord, how do I get this label off of me? How can I come up higher? How can I do the kinds of things, Lord, that you want me to do? I don't want to be running after this woman and that woman and this man and that man. I want to be strong in you. And God will do it. I am a witness. That is why I can do these audios, because there's a lot of stuff that the Lord has healed me from. I mean, you got to get to that place where you say enough is enough. And some of you all, you've got to tell yourself that I'm not going to keep saving these men. I'm not going to keep trying to save these women. And it's trying to, because you're never saving them. You think you are for a while, and then they end up turning on you like a snake. And then they bite you. And then you start yelling and screaming and hollering, saying, how come you didn't accept my love? How come you didn't accept all these things I did for you? And then some will be real bold and simply say, did I ask you to help me? Did I ask you to come over here and play counselor to me? You see? No good deed goes unpunished, right? So I thank you, as always, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube Enterprise 7. Feel free to subscribe. Also, if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. I have plenty of books out that deal with these issues in depth. Okay. We're talking about She's Crazy for the Battered Man. We're talking about spiritual warfare and so forth. And Know Your Enemy, the Christian's Critic. There is also those individuals who consider themselves to be distant daughters and sons and fatherless and say goodbye to dad. And we also got some folks that's going through all sorts of controlling, manipulative, downright evil stuff with some spiritual mothers, mother-in-laws, biological mothers, you name it. And that's in Tell Me Mother You're Sorry. A lot of information out there. Okay. So please don't sleep on it. Thank you as always for listening to YouTube Enterprise 7. Blessings to you.